Hello, everyone. Actually, let me. Okay, you should be able to hear me right now. Today, we are going to be talking about LinkedIn newsletter showcase. I'm going to be using Sikeston, Missouri as a case study as it pertains to how important it is to do like your research as far as feasibility mapping, and then the multi-million dollar potential that Sikeston, Missouri, Southeast Missouri has as it pertains to clinical trials and bringing them to this area. So I want to go ahead and get started. Basically, it's so important to know what kind of clinical trials that you want to bring into the area, the idea, but you also have to make sure it matches with the comorbidities, the health disparities in your area. So one of the things that I have done is, of course, and I'm hoping all site owners have done this before you even open up a site. Let's just say you are wanting to become a site owner and you're saying, okay, what kind of studies are that actually interest me? You can't just go by what interests you. You have to go by what is the need that is going to be beneficial for your community. So, for instance, in Southeast Missouri, in the Boot Hill area, you're looking at diabetes, hypertension, cancer. What else? Obesity rates are extremely high. You're looking at about a 40% obesity rates. What's the other one? Neurology issues, mental health issues. So, just to give you an example, the type of studies that would need to come to the area, or I would want the sponsors to award me, would be it would be to match what is plaguing Southeast Missouri. That makes sense. It's almost kind of like you're matchmaking. So if you're wanting to become a site owner, that's something that you need to keep in mind. Don't just go into it thinking that, oh, yeah, I'm going to open up a clinical research site and I'm going to be awarded the studies because, they've done the feasibility for my site and the sponsor saw fit that, we're going to award you a study, and you shouldn't think that way. You should do the pre-work before you even open up a site. And also, it's very important that whenever you are going about collecting your data to see what kind of studies will benefit your community, you need to document that. And whenever I talk about documenting it, as a CEO, as a site owner, you're becoming a site owner, you need to write about these things in your LinkedIn newsletter. So that's one of the things that I have done. And kind of throughout my journey as becoming a site owner, I am using LinkedIn newsletters to demonstrate that I'm the SME for this area. And this is what I'm doing to showcase, to sponsor CROs and to other site owners and to other individuals that these are some of the steps that you take whenever you're building a business from the ground up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and my LinkedIn newsletter as to what I actually talk about as far as the feasibility that will be the feasibility studies that I have done for my area and the clinical trials that would be appropriate for Sikeston, Missouri, Southeast Missouri, and the multi-million dollar potential that that we can bring to this area. And I know that the potential is there because I've done my research. So this is Southeast Missouri is an untapped region. The nearest clinical research sites, as I mentioned before, clinical research, anything, you're looking at a 200-mile radius, 150 to 200-mile radius. So St. Louis north of Sikeston and Memphis south, which is south of Sikeston. So let's go ahead and pull up the LinkedIn newsletter that I just published, I think on Monday. And if you're going back and watching this video, today is November the 6th, 2025. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. First of all, as a entrepreneur, if you are not using your LinkedIn newsletters to showcase your skills, you are truly missing out because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Whenever you create your own LinkedIn newsletter, LinkedIn, whoever is connected to you, they actually have a built in email list, if you will. You don't own it, but that's okay. They have a built in email list. So whenever you get ready to launch your newsletter, it will let your connections know, like, hey, you've launched your newsletter, and it will give them the opportunity to say, yes, I want to subscribe, or they won't. If you position yourself in the correct way, you'll eventually have a newsletter subscribers. And then each time you create a newsletter, um, it will actually go to their personal email addresses. So let's not leave any rock unturned whenever you are becoming a entrepreneur in the clinical research space. You need to make sure that you are leaving a digital footprint on, especially on LinkedIn, because that's where a lot of decision makers are. That's where your aspiring, let's say, site owners are, CRAs, CRCs, principal investigators, are the doctors that want to become principal investigators. Those people are there and your market is there. So it is in your best interest to start documenting your journey and to actually start speaking the language that the CEO, sponsors, and your ideal clients want to hear. And they need to hear from you. Because if you are living in an area like mine, you need to create that digital footprint, because sponsors, CROs, and the industry alone, they don't know this area exists. So by me talking about it, by me creating my own LinkedIn newsletters, doing live videos such as this, and I have another LinkedIn masterclass coming up on November the 17th. This is a four-day series for anyone that is wanting to become a site owner. I'm literally placing sites in Missouri, Southeast Missouri, the Blue Hill area, on the clinical research map. It's very important to know to do those things. So let's take a look at this LinkedIn newsletter. It's titled Why Sponsors Are Overlooking Millions in Untapped Feasibility. And here is how I'm fixing it. I mentioned before that it is important to do your research on the comorbidities and get the data on what's plaguing the health disparities that's plaguing your area. That way you can almost play matchmaking as far as what kind of clinical trials will benefit your area. So I actually start off, whenever you build your LinkedIn newsletter, you need to start off with some resources that's going to back up your claim or back up your what you're finding in your area. For example, what I have in here, 2023 study from the Tufts Center for Study of Drug Development. We're saying that every time that there is a delay in drug development, that is now worth approximately $800,000 in unrealized prescription sales, while the direct cost to operate a clinical trial on average is $40,000 per day for phases 2 through 3 programs. So again, this is what I have, the data that I have researched. And I really want to get into how you should be setting up your LinkedIn newsletter whenever you're talking about something as heavy duty as this. Again, I go on, it's almost like a bit of a rebuttal, if you will. Yet, according to 2023, this article is saying like every single delay in the drug development. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not being redundant here. Let's see. I think it is. It's probably not worth. Okay, no. So it's $800,000 in unrealized prescription sales. The goal of this particular article is to get sponsors and CROs and other individuals to see how much money we're leaving on the table as far as, bringing clinical research to this area. The amount of untapped resources, the revenue, the jobs, the potential that it will have, a positive impact that it will have on this community. It is huge. It's huge. And if you're not just looking at the money wise, but the things that not just the things, I can't think of it, the answers or questions that people may have about their health issues, It may not answer their question now, but it may answer their question for their children or their grandchildren, great grandchildren. And a lot of people participate in those clinical trials for those reasons. But I want to go ahead and show you the amount of money. Let's say, for phases 2 through 3 programs, oncology, cardiovascularology, central nervous system trials, they account for the highest revenue ranges values ranging from $840,000 to $1.4 million per day of a potential loss. So this confirms that the industry historically, that they're over relying on areas that are heavily sedated with clinical research, but also economically inefficient, like in Sikeston, Missouri. This is what I've inserted in my LinkedIn newsletter. It's demonstrating like the daily cost to run a later stage clinical trial. So from 2017, you're looking at almost $40,000 all the way up to 2021. Well, the range is around, the average is around 24 or $40,000. I'll get it out right. So you set it up in that way, you give the data as far as what the articles are saying, and then you begin to interweave in, okay, Southeast Missouri. You've done your feasibility, and this corridor, it spans to 7 counties like New Madrid, Scott, Stoddard, Mississippi, Cape Girardeau, Dunklin, and Butler. You're looking at around 240,000 residents across this region. And the cities and towns, including mine, Sikeston, Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, Dexter, Kennett, Malden, Charleston, Portageville, New Madrid, Lilburn, Marston, Bertrand, Matthews, Minor, Scott City, East Prairie. All these areas form the economic and healthcare backbone of Sikeston, Missouri, which is the home to a lot of our regional hospitals. And this is also a strong potential for us to create and build the clinical research site. And here I want to show you this particular map of Southeast Missouri, just to give you an idea of where we're located if you do not know already, and if you haven't read the article. So I'm going through here, and I'm going to try to make the map a little bit bigger so you can see like where Sikeston, Missouri is. And then I'm scrolling on down so you can see like Marston. Look at the New Madrid area. Portageville. We're moving further south. And then Catron. Again, New Madrid. You're looking at the Mississippi River here. We're like 30 minutes away from the Mississippi River. Let's see if I can speed this up a little bit. Cape Girardeau. So essentially, and you can go to the LinkedIn newsletter and read all about it. I'm just showing you where we are on the map in proximity as to where St. Louis is. And then on the south side, you'll be able to see, once you look at the map, where Memphis is. So that's another way of setting up your LinkedIn newsletter and showcasing your region and where you are and why it's important that the sponsors see that they bring, award us with the clinical trials. I talked about doing the feasibility data and making sure that the clinical trials that I bring or that is coming to this area will be beneficial to Sikeston, Missouri, in this corridor. So again, the highest prevalence of diseases, you're looking at obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. Adult obesity rates, it's a high rate, almost 50%. Diabetes affects 12 to 15% of the patient population in this area. That includes, Butler County and Dunklin County. The obesity rates exceeds 47%. So it would be important, and it would make sense to bring in clinical trials that, let's say, for instance, Zepbound, and I talked about that later on in my article. So to give you an idea, whenever you see rates like this, that means that whatever study that you're thinking about bringing to the area, then if it's cardiovascular disease and you see that the average rates adult obesity is 45, almost 50%. Those are the kind of clinical trials that you need to be focusing on. And that's the kind of data and topics you need to be focusing on in your LinkedIn newsletter. And if you decide to make any kind of post on LinkedIn or make a YouTube video just like this. Okay. Even behavioral health and neuro data, I weave that in because we do have a lot of cases where there are mental health issues. So psych studies would be very beneficial for this area as well. So are the neurology for migraine. I am a recipient. I suffer from chronic migraine. I know of a lot of people that suffer from chronic migraine. So those types of studies, neuro studies, they would be very, very beneficial to psychs in Missouri. And again, obesity and mood disorder comorbidity studies would be very beneficial to this area. I want to go ahead and skip down to, and I just talked about our proximity as to where we are from Sykes or from Memphis, which is south of, is south of us, and then St. Louis is north of us. You're looking at a 100 to 150 mile stretch, which means like because of the stretch and this map, no active clinical trial sites. So again, whenever you're doing your feasibility, not studies, but your feasibility data, collecting that kind of data, it is important to map out where you're located and then demonstrate like, hey, you know what? St. Louis is the nearest one. You're looking at a 150-mile radius. That's a 2.5, 3-hour drive. Same thing with Memphis. And then show the sponsors what kind of opportunities that they're missing out on, and show the possibility, like the amount of the money in the studies. So again, oncology, you're looking at $25 million. Now this is educational purposes, and this is just something that I came up with according to the data that I have seen and researched, and kind of like a formula. Cardiometabolic, you're looking at $20 million. Obesity, now this is over a period of time. Obesity, $15 million. Neurology, $10 million. Behavioral health, $8 million. So this untapped region here, you're looking at an untapped region of multi-million dollars of revenue on the table. So this revenue will help bring in jobs and just create a plethora of positive impact and opportunities within the Sikeston region, Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, Dexter, New Madrid, Charleston, within the Southeast Missouri region. Okay. And you can go ahead, and I'll leave a link in the description box so you can read the rest of this particular article. But I just really want to show you, like, it's important to just collect that kind of data, because again, to me, it's showing that you're being proactive whenever you're trying to open up a clinical research site, and you're not saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to open up a clinical, putting the cart before the horse. I'm opening up a clinical research site. Now I need to backtrack and see what kind of studies will benefit. And I need to backtrack and see, well, do I even have the patient population? How are you going to recruit your patients? How are you going to get access to the database, especially in areas like this? So you need to do the pre-work first before you even open up your clinical research site. I know that may sound silly to say, or it may not make sense, or it should be common knowledge, but in this area, that's something I need to voice and make sure that people understand that's how and why I'm bringing clinical research to this area and opening up a clinical research site. Doing the research first, and making sure that it makes sense for the sponsors to award us those type of studies. So Clinical Science Research Solutions, we have created a feasibility and revenue readiness model, kind of just basically what I showed here in this map right here. We created the model because we want to make sure whenever we approach the sponsors or sponsors approach us, that we're in alignment, that their investment, they need to see that their investment is worth the money that they're going to invest in us is going to be worth it, and with measurable economic and workforce outcomes. The model that we have created is again, for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of people that are not familiar with this area, it's going to help identify geographies where disease prevalence and therapeutic pipelines converge, reducing startup times by 20 to 25% and improving enrollment yields by 30 to 40%. If you don't know anything about the startup times, a lot of times the startup times is very costly and it can linger on for several different reasons. And I can get into that later, but it's very costly. But by coming to this area, you can reduce those times, which whenever you reduce the times, that means you're reducing the amount of money that you're spending. Also, enrollment, you're looking at about a 30 to 40% increase in enrollment. And with clinical trials, recruitment is one of the hardest things to do because one, there's a lot of mistrust. Two, people are scared to, again, that goes back to the mistrust of participating in clinical trials. And a lot of times these studies are so difficult to understand, they really don't know the meaning of it or why they should participate in a clinical trial. So that's where your plain language summaries comes in to actually break down why it's important, what this study is all about in the first place, what your options are, and how it can be beneficial to you and to many others. And for anybody that wants to become a site owner, whether you're a physician or somebody that was like myself in the space, site owner, CSRS, we deliver operational training, tech-enabled infrastructure. And whenever I say tech-enabled, we are in the process of becoming a certified Creo partner. So we're going to be integrating their sandbox into our courses and into the site ownership program. More details to come on that with that. And again, the mentorship is through the Site Ownership Academy. Kind of mentioned that in the PI Foundations course. So again, whenever you are creating your LinkedIn newsletter, you need to also demonstrate that not only have you conducted your own research and said, oh, okay, I know what studies are appropriate for this area. Now you need to tell the sponsors, how are you going to be able to solve their problem? So this is how I'm solving the problem. I am making sure that, hey, I've done the feasibility work. I've shown you how it's going to be it's going to mutually benefit the both of us. And you're not just investing in an area where you're not going to see a high ROI. You're going to see a high ROI. Okay. So, my company, we solve those issues by providing that training, and we are making sure that anybody that wants to become a site owner, you're going to be ready, which is going to reduce the risk and help increase the trust for sponsors. You want to be trustworthy. You want to show that you're not going to be a high risk as far as anybody investing in you, sponsor CROs, anybody wanting to come to your area or come to you for your area of expertise. Okay. So let's talk about the revenue again. A single rural site running one oncology trial, one obesity trial, one cardiometabolic trial can earn a potential of $2 to $3 million per year in direct study contracts. Expanding that model across 5 counties can possibly generate $25 to $30 million annually, supporting regional hospitals, pharmacies, and 50 or more skilled research jobs. Now, for sponsors, that means trimming 12 weeks from activation schedules, preserving $3 to $4 million per program, echoing Tufts' cost of delay findings. These savings compound across the entire portfolio. 10 timely launches equate to $30 to $40 million in recovered value. With the FDA's 2024 guidance on diversity in clinical trials or clinical studies now encouraging geographic inclusion, investing in communities like Sikeston is no longer optional. It is strategically necessary. And then I go on to talk about Zepbound. A lot of people are taking Zepbound now, and it has proven to be very beneficial as far as weight loss. But because we have a high percentage of adult obesity rates, then Zepbound or a clinical trial similar to Zepbound, weight loss trial, would be very successful in this area. And I'm going to show you how successful it will be. According to this particular formula, on the conservative rate on a scenario, you're looking at $15,000 per patient. The base rate, $25,000 per patient. The high rate, $30,000 per patient. Regional revenue for 3 sites, you're looking at $900,000 for the conservative rate, a base rate of $1.5 million. And on the higher end, you're looking at $1.8 million. Now, the net to owners on the conservative side, $540,000. On the base, $900,000. And on the high side, over $1 million. So essentially, whenever you are looking to get into clinical research the space and becoming a research site owner, this is the potential of revenue that you can make. Of course, it's going to be different for every region that you're in. So make sure you account for what is going to be necessary or what's needed in your area. But this is, again, just giving you an idea of what we are leaving on the table whenever you are looking for a job and you're thinking, oh, there's no potential out here. There's the multi-million-dollar potential is right here in the rural area. You just have to make sure you position your organization, your business, in a position to where you're going to be able to receive those type of opportunities. And that is what I'm doing here in Sikeston, Missouri. And again, here is another projected 24-month revenue. Now, this is not a get rich quick scheme, but 2 to 3 years for a 3-site phase 2 tirzepatide trial for Southeast Missouri. I mean, you're looking at a nice revenue. And again, not only are you going to get paid very well, you are bringing in jobs that do not exist in this area, which means it's going to give other people the opportunity that qualify for those positions to enter into an industry that they never heard of, and then job opportunities. So I'm creating job opportunities here, which is much needed in this area. So it's in the best interest of the sponsors and the CROs that they invest in rural areas like mine, because again, I'm placing a digital footprint in the clinical research space. I'm putting Sikeston, Missouri on the map, and for good reasons. Not only, again, for jobs, economic reasons, health reasons, and just making a positive impact in this area will be so beneficial for both the sponsors and this area. Basically, in short, whenever you activate a research naive site, you don't just improve the access, it accelerates enrollment, reduces per patient costs, and unlocks millions in regional economic potential. Now, who would not want to tap into that? So with that philosophy, it drives the CSRS Corporate Insight Network Strategy Program. That's something that we offer at CSRS. It's a framework that empowers sponsors to co-develop distributed site networks through verified feasibility and regional mentorship, as demonstrated in the recent Southeast Missouri Zepbound case study. Activating just 3 rural sites, Sikeston, Poplar Bluff, Sikeston, for a phase 2 tirzepatide trial could generate $1.5 to $1.8 million in direct regional revenue and deliver enrollment at a fraction of the national phase 2 cost envelope. A modest $500,000 pilot investment in such an area can yield 3 to 5 times the ROI through accelerated enrollment, stronger retention, and compliance alignment with the FDA's 2024 Diversity Action Plan. Each activation simultaneously fuels job creation, which is what I mentioned, workforce training, which is what I mentioned before, what CSRS is doing, and patient access to cutting-edge therapies within regions historically left out of research. So again, just to give you an idea of how I what I'm talking about in this LinkedIn newsletter and what this YouTube channel or video is all about. One, how to set up a LinkedIn newsletter. Two, how to demonstrate how you're the SME in the clinical research space. Three, this is the data that you have come up with so you can make for sure that the clinical trials that's brought to this area is going to be beneficial financially and for people that need the jobs and for people that want to participate in the clinical trials. Okay, what's the last thing I want to say? What are some of the takeaways? Again, overlooking places like ours can cost sponsors millions in lost time and missed market share. Whenever you partner with CSRS, what you're doing is we're bridging the gap together with validated data, measurable ROI, and equitable access. Feasibility is no longer a guess, it's a strategy, it's science, and it's a shared investment in prosperity. So if you're looking to start your own research site, connect with us today. Reach out to me today at CSRS at clinicalscienceresearchsolutions.com. And again, whenever you set up a LinkedIn newsletter like this, make sure you add references in alphabetical order towards the end. Okay, that actually concludes this particular video for today. Just to let you know, let me show you something right quick. I'm going to remove this. Let's see here. I have an event coming up, as I mentioned before, November the 6th. Actually, today is November the 6th. It's November the 17th, I believe. Let me look. I'm going to show it to you right quick. All right. Let me see if I can make sure I put this on the screen so you can see it. Okay. So starting on November the 17th, I'm going to be doing a 4-day LinkedIn series for clinical research site owners. And I think it's important for me to do this type of series because, again, I feel like there are some of us that are actually going on LinkedIn and utilizing LinkedIn newsletters and YouTube channels in our own different way, which I think is very, very important that we're doing it this way. And we all bring our unique strategies and unique point of views and area of expertise to the table, which is wonderful. But a lot of you all are not really doing it the way you should. So this particular 4-day LinkedIn live series is going to show you how to build feasibility, visibility, and financial impact from the ground up. And also, let's see, I want to make sure that you understand what's going to be taking place over the 4 days. I gotta stop sharing this particular screen. Okay. Excited. I'm very excited about this. So again, this is for clinical research site owners, and it's titled The Multi-Million Dollar Marketing Strategy for Clinical Research Entrepreneurs. This is going to be a 4-day live event. Day 1, the visibility gap in clinical research. Day 2, feasibility equals market intelligence. Day 3, we're going to be talking about building credibility content that converts. And day 4, we're going to be talking about from feasibility to funding, monetizing feasibility or visibility. Okay. And it's very important because, again, whenever we get ready to go through this particular 4-day event, I'm going to be showing you what I've actually done to position my company to receive these types of opportunities. Then you can do the same. You do not need to use LinkedIn the traditional way. You need to think outside the box and do things outside the box. And that means coming on and doing LinkedIn live series, maybe something similar to this, or something, bringing your own secret sauce to the table, and putting yourself out there, letting people know, like, hey, this is what I have to offer, and I'm going to teach you what I know. And maybe you can take the blueprint that I have and implement it in your own way so you can be successful, so you can position yourself to receive multi-million dollar, either multi-million dollar partnerships that in this industry, or you're actually going to receive, put yourself in a position so you can receive that kind of revenue. And again, it's very important that you come to this live event, 4 days. Again, we're going to start on um, November 17th, and it's going to go through November the 20th. It's going to be very important, very fun, very interesting. Anybody that needs to make money, it's not always about money, but it's about the right strategies that you need to implement into your business. And again, this market is very tough, but I'm telling you right now, if you position yourself accordingly and think outside the box, and do not use LinkedIn as just a resume and getting on there complaining, you can position yourself to receive bigger opportunities, monetary, and just the visible opportunities and the partnership opportunities. Okay. Again, reach out to me. Let's see if I can. If you are looking to fund anyone that is wanting to become a site owner, here is we're still doing a sponsor a site starter challenge. Anything, your donations will be greatly appreciated, because you're going to be helping the next generation open up clinical research sites in a rural area and creating jobs and the potential revenue that they will be able to benefit from along with others. Email us for sponsorships at iam4health@gmail.com. And again, please feel free to reach out to me. I am on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube. But yeah, this is it. So stay tuned for more videos like this. And actually leave in the comments, what else do you want to know about becoming a clinical research site owner? And again, I'll be sharing my journey as how I'm doing it from the grassroots, because it's very important for people to see that starting a clinical research site from the grassroots is not an easy feat, and things do not happen overnight. So anyway, I will see you around. Stay tuned.